So with this champ that will be talking to you today, I'm José Forte. I'm from Portugal, in Porto, and some facts from Portugal. We like sun, we like beer, and we like to call our kid José. So my father is José, my uncle is José, both of my grandfathers are José, and both of my grandfathers are José. I don't have the tracking for the rest of the family, but it's a lot. So nowadays I work at InfraSpeak for almost 5 years. Um, it's a B2B SaaS company, so we deal with mostly mid to enterprise companies. Okay, is that why attribution for us is so needed? Mostly because we don't have that much volume uh, to just put more budget in our campaigns, to just have more marketing examples and campaigns. Is that why we need that so much? I work with HubSpot more or less at the same time I came into InfraSpeak, so more or less 5 years. We built, me and Duarte, our chief of staff, uh, our account from the ground zero. At the beginning, is that why I love so much HubSpot, because it's so flexible. So at the beginning, we defined that we needed something custom for our strategies, for our environment, and is that why nowadays we have more than 200 custom properties, more than 250 active workflows. Okay, so tons of automations running every day, and we have like 200 employees. Half of them use HubSpot. Okay, so our HR team, our customer success team, our sales development, almost everyone. And that is one of the important things that I want to start to say, is that usually the worst part of the CRMs as HubSpot is between our share and the laptop. So it's us humans. Um, as you understand, with 100 people using HubSpot, with so many automations running every day, shit's happening. Okay, I have some examples. One day, so our sales team, time to time when they go to events, they upload lists of prospects, or time to time they get and they upload lists of prospects. And there were few properties that were not being checked as market, as if they have email, things that usually salespeople don't want to double check before importing that. So the first thing that I thought, okay, let's make an automation, send them to a special list, everyone that didn't pass our criteria of uploading, and send an automation to warn our sales team that this and this contact um, is not reliable to be in our database. So there was one time that one of our AEs just uploaded 10,000 contacts, okay, um, to our HubSpot, and she got 10,000 emails in that day. So she couldn't work. The Gmail just went crazy. But this is one of the important things, is that it was easy to reverse the situation. It was easy to change that structure that didn't work at all, as you can imagine. Uh, and it's easy and needed to always prepare your structure at HubSpot or your other CRM, if you are using other, to be easier to reverse things. Is that why I have 8 daily error views in my contacts? So every day at the morning, it's like a routine that I have. I check if there are few errors in market definition, in channel definition, in the path of our customers definition, that everything that we use is custom. So time to time, there are some mistakes that are easy um, to do. So that is one of the most important things. The other one is a part of investment. Why I'm putting that in there? Today it doesn't make sense, because I don't do or run paid ads campaigns no more, because I'm focusing on marketing ops. I have a team that I'm leading that does that. But it's quite important to think, when I entered 5 years ago at InfraSpeak, our monthly budget for all our markets was 100 euros. Nowadays is more than 50K per month. So once again, and this will lead to the second question, that is the 10x question. This will lead us, so if my CEO at that time, at the beginning, like 5 years ago, asked me how much revenue could InfraSpeak get if I increase your budget in 10x, and my quick answer would be, I don't know, I'm not sure. So there is a guy that I'll present to you at the end, that is John Miller, that asked that question in the Pavilion community, and 40% of the CMOs say that the same thing. They didn't know, and this is quite dangerous for us, because if we don't know how to answer why increasing 10x in our budget will get more revenue, we don't know how to answer if they need to decrease us our budget in 10 times. Okay, that will bring few things like education gas from people that are not marketing focused. For sure, all of you already heard why we are not doing LinkedIn ads, because people that work use LinkedIn. So this is a common thing. And of course, the other one is if we need an increase of the budget and we don't know, it's quite dangerous to make that, because you are betting on your growth, and then we'll have, of course, more goals, more metrics that are harder to achieve. And this is why nowadays and today we'll be talking about it. So the first thing, and as I said, Jose Ramos, this is my grandfather, and why I'm telling you this. To make a metaphor, I use this at InfraSpeak so I could easily explain why it was so needed to have someone focus on marketing operations, someone focusing on revenue operations, and it worked. So I'll tell you the same story. So this gentleman in here, as I said, is my grandfather. He was a captain on a codfish vessel. Okay, and how that things worked. They went to a part of the ocean. So usually it was in Greenland. He saw on the radar tons of codfish, or tons of things on the radar. He stopped for the 16 men there to jump to the sea with small vessels. Okay, and then they have nets, and each one of them had 8 hours in the sea to catch tons of codfish. Usually, each day of work will brought like 1 ton, 2 tons. Okay, once again, let's think on the 10x question. So if his boss asked him to have 10x more codfish, should he could he go to Greenland again? So let's pass to our reality. So going to Greenland, it was more or less as our. So if Greenland didn't have the capacity to bring in 10x more codfish, it will not able to just go to Greenland. He needed more ships, more task force to do that. The second one was the radar. That are our metrics, and I'll explain you why each type of metrics are so important. It's because if you was seeing other type, something like sardines or things like that, and he asked to stop the boat and send the demands to the sea, you will lose tons of money with that operation. Similar to us, or a bad placement, a bad audience, we are losing tons of money. And at the end, the vessels with the man are our channels. So each vessel had a max capacity. So we are not able to, only because our boss is asking us to get more revenue from that, more fish from that. We are not able to just go to Google search and say, I want to scale this. If you go to other type of channels, like social, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, you are able to do that. But organic channels, intent channels, as Google search, Bing search, things like that, are not that easy to scale. You just have part of the volume. Once again, that could be important to see, first of all, what we should focus. And second, the second part is to calculate if our return on investment will be bigger if we try to get way more codfish. Probably not, because as we know, we have a limit of fish that we can catch. We have a limit of leads that we can bring. If we don't have a team to take them off, nothing happens. So I swear that I'll stop with C metaphors. But the last thing that I want to say before beginning with the real presentation is that today it's impossible for me to explain you each step of how to fish. That's why one of the things that I have at the end of this presentation is a step-by-step guide that I made on HubSpot community. The links are there. This presentation will be shared, this and the video of the presentation. So don't worry with passing things. Don't worry about taking print screens. We'll left the presentation exactly as it is in here, and we'll go for that. So once again, one of the most important is what attribution should I focus right now. So I'll ask for different stages because time to time, and as this sentence says, you have a lot of starting points. You have a lot of examples. You start to getting having the imposter syndrome. So it's easy to go step by step. And this was a path that took me 5 years to come here. It's not ended, and I'll say at the end there are even more things to do. But here is our attribution model right now. So you see leads, MQLs, SQLs, amount in pipeline, customers, and demand. I just call those names like this because it's easier to think like that in your own experience. But if you look for this leads, on the part of leads, we are calling single attribution, MQLs and SQLs first and last touch. Amount pipeline customers is the full path attribution. So we'll see from leads to customer where they are converting, why they are converting, tons of reasons. And at the end, the demand part, it will be indirect attribution. So, and why is this so important to know where our demand is coming from? Once again, if you are on a B2B market, mostly in Europe, nowadays you are feeling that the intent from companies is getting way low. Why that? Because we have the war, because we have the inflation, because we have tons of indecisions. So people are not having the same intent as before. So we need to build that, and we'll talk later on. So starting for the single attribution, for whom is this type of attribution? For big companies, small, that don't have that much, like 1-2% on the marketing team, that really don't have a structure to change their strategies, because that is quite important. If you are sharing tons of metrics, tons of indicators, tons of actions for the rest of your team, that you can do some of that, because after that you will just lose tons of time. Doesn't make sense. And usually on the structure to make more than this, that will be just looking for marketing as one channel attribution, understanding if they are capable to bet in other channels and to see the quality of that. So starting from that, quite easy. And as you can see, you have two examples in here. The first one, it was my custom channels, so I made that myself. And in the second one, you are seeing the information that HubSpot tells you on the original source property. Okay, so starting with something simple as that, as you can see, the filters that I use for both reports are the same. Okay, and as you can see, you can take any indication from the second report. Okay, it's ton of information are duplicated. It's quite hard to understand that. And the first one, it was an automation that, with the information that I have, and you have that explained on my step-by-step guide that I'll show you at the end, with an automation using the original source information, is putting those original source data into boxes. That's why it's way easier to check that. The other thing that I usually recommend in here is to have different type of visions. Okay, so in this case, I'm just looking for a lead channel or acquisition channel drill down 2, but I have two other views. The first one is lead or acquisition channel ownership. So if it's from marketing, from sales, from product, okay, that depending on the person that is looking for your report, it makes sense for me, since I'm leading the marketing team or the performance team. In this case, of course, I want to drill down at the end, But for someone as my VP, as my CEO, they don't need to get so drilled down. So they just want to understand if marketing is having more ownership, if sales is having more ownership, and if they have doubts, they talk with me and we'll make something. Okay, second part, first and last touch. So looking for acquisition channels and conversion channels. Why that part is important? Once again, now that we are in a different stage of the company, we need to understand that there are channels that really perform well as acquisition. So for newsletters, for resource-free tools, things like that, for being in your community, for being on webinars like this, and there are few channels that work on Intent. So to convert them into customers, okay, or at least not customers directly, because in our case it's a big path between being customer, being asking for a demo, and being a customer, but at least to ask for a demo. Okay, that part I'll show you once again. Another report that I use, I have this how to get this explained on my step-by-step guides, and in here you can understand that on the left side you have the acquisition channels, on the top side you have the conversion channels, and we can see, for example, that we had one lead that was acquired from field sales, so from my sales team. They went for an event, they went for a sales mission somewhere, they add that to our HubSpot, and then we're able to convert them by email marketing as example. Okay, that things are quite important, mostly to understand how our remarketing campaigns are working, how our life cycle email communication is working, because once again, if we don't look at least like this, okay, we are not able to understand why we are doing email marketing, because usually they don't acquire no one. Exactly, they need to be in your database to be acquired. We don't understand why for remarketing campaigns, okay, because since you have a way smaller audience, you need to pay way more for each impression, for each conversion, and the opposite. So usually it's easy to say, don't make social ads, don't make the on B2B markets, of course. Don't go for Facebook, don't go for LinkedIn without focusing on demo requests. Why people say that? Because they were just focusing on leads that converted directly into customers. They were not looking for leads that entered and then were channels. Okay, all good. Now passing for the full path attribution. In this part, it's quite important to understand that there are many options to select here. You can once again check the first and last touch of each prospect. You are able to make a linear attribution. My advice is to, before thinking on each type of attribution, do you need to make a flexible one. Okay, so what we are doing right now at InfraSpeak in our HubSpot is to track all the conversions in each channel from being acquired to being a customer, and then to divide for each stage. So of course, on acquisition channel is only one channel every time, because it can't be acquired more than one time. From MQL to SQL, it could convert in several channels. So it can be acquired from, as example, from Google search and went to our blog and converted and have been acquired as a lead from Google search, from the, and he converted in two more channels for our free tools. Okay, and we are tracking all those two channels, and then he got a remarketing campaign or an email campaign, and he converted into demo requests. Okay, so on as a lead path channel, I have just the Google search organic channel, and then until conversion I have three more channels. Okay, then after that he qualified for a demo, because we have a sales development team that before passing that to sales qualified them, and before doing the demo until we get to an opportunity, adding amount to the pipeline, the guy search for specific case studies, search for specific review, and he went to other channels where he converted, as Google search, for example. Okay, and at the end, he went and became a customer. Why I'm saying that it's important to keep flexible on this? Because we need to understand that for each type of company, there were different parts that had more ownership on the closing part. Most of them usually are after asking for a review, asking for a case study. But before that, if we didn't acquire them as in MQL, okay, we're not able to pass them for that stage. So that's why I keep things flexible. Right now, I'm giving most of the importance to the acquisition and the conversion channel. And then I'm adding the part from amount to customer as velocity. Okay. I'm understanding that if I'm not showing case studies, if I'm not showing to those opportunities, it's taking longer from that stage to being a customer. Okay. But not on the conversion part. So a few examples of things as I'm speaking in here. The first one is the offline conversion. So, example, you have campaign 1, 2, and 3 from Facebook or Google Ads or any other platform, paid platform, and each one of them are providing me different number of MQLs. So in this first vision, okay, supposedly the best channel that we have to be more or less the campaign 1, because it's giving us some volume of MQLs price. After that, if we look for the opportunities on HubSpot, that is why this part is offline conversions, because now they don't convert directly from those campaigns. They are converting in this stage after talking with sales. Now looking to this part, we see that the second campaign, that was the most expensive one, is the one that is bringing us more opportunities on one of the cheapest prices. So what I'm saying with this is the first type of attribution that we need to do here, is to send our platforms, ad platforms. So they know that even that campaign 1 was supposedly working better, at the end of the path, that once again, in average in InfraSpeak, it takes 3 months, okay? We say that the best campaign was the second. The AI will work way better, our campaigns will perform way better, and the platforms will know who to follow, where to follow. Okay. Now the second thing that we need to add, and this is we are adding way more, but this is the one that I'm using on my step-by-step guide. That is not only checking the conversion, but the reason of conversion. Okay, two different things that are quite important to understand. How do you check all of this? So this was an advice from our previous customer success from HubSpot, Fausto, that told me that add a needed field to your forms, okay, with the reason of conversion. In this case, I'm talking about demo, but when it's rich content, premium contents, newsletters, case studies, things like that, all my forms have this hidden field, so our prospects don't see that, and I'm sharing this information to myself. In Facebook lead forms, in LinkedIn lead forms, even in Google lead forms, you are able to do that with hidden fields too, that will pass that information to InfraSpeak. And with that, we have now two types of informations. I know the path, as I said, all that thing from lead to customer, but at the same time, I have the reasons of conversion, and to understand why this opportunity took longer to become a customer, why this opportunity didn't want to pass for the next stage. And if we merge both of information, it will be quite easy to understand that mostly the second example was lack of information. Okay, so things like this are quite important also for us. And at the end, this is the example that I was showing you. So In the first one, you can see the complete channel attribution path. That this is a real case from InfraSpeak. I just got random contacts to show you, and then I can check how many they converted in each channel. Of course, I needed to push the information further so you could see all of that. What can I do right now with this information? You have two things. One of them is to get an automation that will cut each individual channel after the comma, okay? And you will get the attribution that you want. Like if it's the first part of this line, give them 20% of the revenue that the customer got. If it's the second line, get other percentage that you want, okay? Or you can do in a manual way, that is exporting everything for a spreadsheet and then just spread the data through different columns and give the structure that you want, okay? This is quite important for us right now. We are in that stage of selecting the best attribution model. We already tried tons of them, and I think we are going for an hybrid one, not linear, but linear on the most important stages, and then all the rest will be done after. Okay, and then for us, for B2B, that supposedly this is the stage one, so it will be in the first part of this presentation, but since it's way harder to track, I wanted to present just at the end. That is demand. So as I said, we are feeling, and everyone is feeling that. At least I'm talking with other companies. I'm talking with marketplace as Gartner, and they are always all telling me the same. That is, the intent in Europe is getting way low, mostly because of all of these indecisions, all of this confusion that we are having here. And if people don't have the intent to search for things like B2 facility management software like InfraSpeak, things like that, that usually don't have that much volume on daily basis. We need to build that demand. We need to make people searching for us, because if I just show for a cold audience, ask for a demo right now, ask for a free trial right now on a really complex software, I'll be failing. Okay, so I need to educate before those guys, and then they will search for myself on their own. Okay, and that's the way that things work on B2B mid to enterprise companies. You can't just push a complex software to their faces, because otherwise they will not convert. Okay, things that we can do in here. First of all, and I'll share this um, tool with you at the end, using softwares that will see who is looking into your pages. So you can be with your paid ads platforms and understand, like, this cold audience that saw my article, my videos, my whatever, is coming to my website, to my blog, and they are looking for things. So in this example, I'm just showing you what I'm sharing with my tag assistant. Okay, so what I'm sharing with my analytics account, that someone from InfraSpeak, that is their domain, that is on the customer dimension 5, the range of employees that we have, the industry where they are, and the technology that they use. Okay, I'm sending that to analytics that is integrated with our paid ads platform, so we know that even without converting, I know that people that interacted with some of my ads or some of my articles or some of something are coming back here. That is quite important. Why? To understand if our demand campaigns, demand generation campaigns, are really working, are really building more demand. Because why is this so complicated? If I didn't have software like this, I was showing some article, some video to someone that stopped and checked the video. Then after 2 days, you remember, okay, I want to see more things from those guys. I want to enter the community. I want to check their blog, and they will search on Google or on Bing and came to my blog or website. If I didn't add that, the attribution would be for Google search, but in reality was my demand gen campaigns on the back that push them for that. This is one of the solutions that we use. This part on demand base, I didn't add time that guide. I'll at the end I make a promise of delivering that until the end of August. I'll have my vacations before that, but then I'll be clear to do that. And the other one is something that I really didn't like at the beginning. This was an advice from one of my colleagues that was making a simple question on our forms that was, how did you hear about us? At the beginning, I thought that it was really lame to ask that question, without giving options. But it showed me tons of things, tons of articles explaining that if you make options, usually they will select the first one that appears for them. And if you ask that, and as you can see on the other example is an attribution report, you can see that, for example, one of them has ownership, acquisition ownership, and the guy said already work for one of our clients. So this is a referral. I need to give some attention to those type of guys. On the second line, you can see co-workers reference. So once again, referral. On the other one, one of our events. So there are a few things that we think that we know, but when we ask people, we see that. Now, be careful. I'm not saying that this will be our main source of attribution, because people can lie, people can usually don't remember that path, but it's important, once again, to give a percentage of ownership to the answers of that. Now we'll say, okay, but I have on monthly basis 500, 1,000 new leads on my contact base. It will be impossible to share by one, of course. Is that why HubSpot have workflows? And if you check that, and I've made the same with the channel, so you have tons of options on the original source data, similar to this. So as in the original source or latest source information, in here you will see that we'll always have patterns of answers. You just need to keep building those partners. It's quite easy to make that on a spreadsheet file, and then every time that you have a new one that doesn't match none of your options, you can update the workflow. Is the way that I make for acquisition channel and conversion channel. It will be the same thing that I'll make for this. Okay, and now why we are doing all of this? First of all, the first question that you could make is that, will you, this is the end of the path? Of course not. So one of the things that we are making right now is to select the main contact from each opportunity. So I'm tracking the one from leads, MQLs, SQLs, amount getting customers. When we're talking about B2B, we'll have tons of contacts associated to that deal. Nowadays, we just select the one that opened the door. So it's not the people with most authority. It's not the one that will use our platform. It will be the one that requests them. Why we are doing this? Quite simple, the idea, and something similar happens at InfraSpeak. So for example, to close with Clearbit, like that, supposedly should be making ads to my VP of growth, because it will be the one that approves my budget. But I will be the guy that will take 10 demos, make a spreadsheet, select the best solution, and tell to my VP which one of them I want. So this is similar to that. I don't want to see to know with the or what was the path of the most important person on the company. I don't want to know the path of the one that will use my platform. I want to know the ones that speak to enter in their company. That is quite nice for now. It's taking us less time, way less time than you could think of. So every time that we open a deal, we just select with the associated contact that is the man. That all that channel information, acquisition information, conversion information pass to the deal, and then I look for revenue, amount in pipeline, together with the information passed by the contact. Now, one thing that we are checking is that our structure also should be account based, because okay, this type of guys, girls are the ones that are opening the doors to us, but then some director of IT, some CEO, there are different levels of authorities will be on the stage between amount to customer, and they also have conversion, so they also require a ton of information. And nowadays, our next step, it will be to gather that, keep looking for the main contact for conversion purpose, but then looking for the rest of the guys from each company that we can interact and understand the attribution that we are giving can add velocity to the process. Okay, all good for now. Nice. So then after that, what could we do with all this structure? Okay, there are way more things than here, but as you can see, we already just have 15 minutes to the end of the presentation. Look for the guides. Each one of them have like 15, 16 minutes of reading. The step-by-step is really a step-by-step. Everything that is supposed to do, it's there. So don't be worried about that. Just some examples that we can take from this. So the first thing that I want to say is know how to select your metrics. So I usually use the example of Byron, someone that I'll also share in here to follow. That is the example of the car. So if you are driving and the light of the engine lights up, that is an indicator. Your car is still working. You can get still to the point that you want. It's an indicator that probably something is bad with your car, but everything is working. So the same thing applies to your process. There are few things, an indicator of good things or bad things, but that they are not necessarily a metric that says, okay, things are bad, things are good. Let's change. And I'm saying that, and this is the first example for the toxic wheel. This was something that happened like 2 years ago at InfraSpeak, where we are using MQLs without criteria. Okay, so nowadays to be an MQL, marketing qualified lead, you need to have some of the criteria that we say in terms of size, in terms of industry, in terms of authority of the person. The ones that are not MQLs get email entering a marketing cycle to push people that will have the authority, to push people that have the size and the industry that we want. But we are just passing for our STRs, people that really rely on those criteria. The other thing was that before it was only needed to ask for them, and what was happening with that? So we had a high volume of MQLs. Since we didn't have criteria, most of them were rejected or unqualified. So the quality rate of our campaigns, of our inbound campaigns, was getting lower. Planning a new quarter, a new year, our numbers were saying to us, hey, to get way more MQLs than that. So after that, since organic is not scalable on such a speed quick time frame, everything was going to pay that. All that new overload of new MQLs was getting there. We're opening our audiences, not segmenting to get more SQLs. The quality rate was getting even lower, and then on the next quarter, we were asking way more MQLs than the last quarter. Okay, so we are making a toxic wheel. There was few examples of SDRs that were totally overloaded with tasks and not reaching their goals. And we had a talk like, hey, let's talk. We are looking for the wrong thing. So we start to make our criteria that now that I'm talking and I'm looking for those guys talking about this 2 years ago, I want to call them stupid. But it's something so simple that usually we need to stop and understand once again, this was a bad indicator, this was a bad metric because we didn't have indicators of quality in this metric. Nowadays, we have the quality, and for example, in Brazil, that is quite easy to convert people into them requests. We are getting like 7 times less MQLs than in those times, and we are getting way more customers, way more opportunities because we are focusing on the ones that really matters for our structure. Second one of having so much attribution is to understand the different type of interactions that each channel should have. So I had at the beginning, once again, educated guess that we need to be prepared to answer those educated guess. Tons of people saying paid ads usually bring MQLs or SQLs with bad quality. And I was not understanding why, because I was looking for each contact individually and they were a fit for our proposal. And then I tried to understand one thing. It was the time frame that the SDRs were picking the phone to contact those prospects after them being converted. And what was happening? So they didn't have priorities on those tasks. So every time that someone was converting, was getting into the list, completing the list. And they were taking more or less more than 2 days, more than 3 days. One thing that I tried on leads coming from social ads mostly, or display ads, was to give that priority. So as soon as someone converted, it will appear on the task list for the SDRs, and they needed to call right now. When I'm saying right now, it's in less than 2 hours. The quality of those totally changed. And now, once again, now that it was done, it's easy to understand. Okay, of course, people that are seeing a display ad for the first time, they don't know anything from InfraSpeak, they don't know anything from our product. They convert in a form because they were attracted, and you take 3 days to contact them. Usually, they were asking, "Who is InfraSpeak? Why are you calling me?" They forgot that when someone was looking for InfraSpeak on Google search ads, channels with intent, of course they knew who was InfraSpeak because they were proactive to search for them. So now we made that change, and our ads are working quite well before that change. Something simple that because we have all those attribution actions, and that's to the other teams to help us with that. The other one that is quite important for forecasting impactful metrics, and in here you can see that I add like tons of different metrics. So leads from direct channels, MQLs from direct channels, same thing for organic, paid search CPC for different for the same time frame. So different or several months of a year. And I made something that is called the correlation from Pearson, that is some statistic calculation that will help us to understand if those metrics are correlated or not. So if something has direct MQLs will increase, or sorry, in this example is different. So if something has demand generation campaigns reach is increasing, it will increase the coming from direct channels. Is changing something from organic. And one of the things that we check is that the reach didn't change anything. Okay, so we could be on those campaigns be reaching or having 1 million impressions. That was not changing directly more leads from organic, more leads from direct traffic. But when we are checking the demand gen content seekers, that is some people that interact with our ads that have seen at least 50% of the video that we are sharing, or at least 50% of the article. So they made at least 50% scroll of the article that we are sharing. And after that, they are considered as content seekers, and that part is really changing that metric. I'm showing you this demand part, but you can make the same for sales qualified leads, for opportunities. What is changing the number of opportunities? How can I predict how much opportunities I will have in 3 months with the MQLs that I have right now? Okay, and before just closing your eyes and going for it and trying to make like a really simple forecast, try to make this test, and it's quite easy. So if it's close to 1, or if it's above 0.5, it's because I have correlation. The most that is closer to number 1 is the one that have more correlation. If it's below that, be careful, the correlation is not that good, because what they make is to put the number like in a board, trying to put all the dots from those different metrics in there, draw a timeline, and understand if there is connection on each different stage. Okay, once again, I'll talk about that step-by-step guide. Don't worry about it, but it's quite important to check if you are following the right metrics. The second one is to predict your results. So I'm showing you the examples of percentage. I'm not showing the results of Speak from last year, from Q4, where on the week 1 of October, I was able to be 89% correct from the end results of the month. Okay, so in the first week, because every Friday I make a sync meeting with my performance team and all the sales managers, showing them if we keep like this will be the result at the end of the month. And that is done by, once again, calculus that bring us those numbers. Once again, the level 3 that I'll share, the article that I'll share, will explain you step by step how to do this. But at the end of this quarter, so through the 4 weeks of these 3 months, we had an error margin of 10%. Okay, so this is quite nice. Okay, of course, we are not able to be sure that at the end of the month we'll be there, but that at least we are sure that we should say to our team, we should make some actions and change our structure of if we could keep everything as it is, and it was only or simply a bad week. Okay, then now not the why, things that I think that you should check. John Miller, that talks a lot of ABM, pipeline activation, that thing that we are still working on at InfraSpeak, but it works quite well. We are already doing few things like this. So checking people in our pipeline that is quite big right now that are dormant, and then attribution channels and experiment that to reactivate those guys. And it's quite weird that time to time we have people that didn't talk with us after asking a demo no more. Then 2 years after, we try to make those things and they convert on that day, and they are having an opportunity to customer time frame really lower than supposed. For RevOps and being an HubSpot champion, so explaining what type of content you should look for to work better with HubSpot, to understand more what are the results. Talking about Met Volume and the Rev Partners series. Okay, they make today, I think it's starting this RevOps summer school. Quite nice. I think you should keep, you could apply for the next 2 days. It's quite nice. Growth mindset. So this type of thinking, like what is an indicator, what is metric, those 3 guys, quite nice. And for some tools, Clearbit, that is quite nice on that part, that is sharing all the information to my analytics page about the company. Of course, I'm not able, because of GDPR, to know who is the individual person, but I could know who interacted in some of my ads, and from each company. That is not a problem with that. Clarity, that is a solution as Hotjar, but the free version have more options than Hotjar. Is that why I'll always share Clarity. XLM Miner analysis tool, that is the thing that bring me this information, so you don't need to know how to make these calculations. They'll make by yourself, quite easy to use. Also, HubSpot and Google Sheet integration, that is the solution that I have today to make this forecasting calculation. So I, on a daily basis, I use HubSpot report, because I have the more, it's my truth of source of truth. Okay, on that day I have the information for that. But to make those forecasting calculations, right now I'm not able to do that, at least with my package of because I don't have HubSpot operations. I'm not able to make forecasting with my own calculation with their calculation properties. So I need to send the on a daily basis the information to a spreadsheet. That spreadsheet will make the calculus and will give me a dashboard saying, for this metric in this market, this will be the forecasting. Okay, so I need to make that on a spreadsheet. And at the end, Veronix, that is a quite nice solution to also pass information from paid ads platforms, so Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Twitter, Google, all of that. For spreadsheet is free. Okay, there are a few things that if you want you need to pay for, but it's quite nice. Why that? To merge the information from your forecasting and the amount that you are spending. Once again, you can do the same in HubSpot, because we have the ads section on the marketing part, but we are not able to make the calculation on HubSpot right now. So it will be something that for now it's in our spreadsheet. I'm joining information from HubSpot with information from platforms. With HubSpot, I have all the information from organic, of course. In the part I was missing, because I'm not able to pass that to the spreadsheet, missing the information of CPCs, impressions, reach, cost per goal. Okay, and then I have in my spreadsheet all this information. I'll show you how to make that. At the end, as I said, for the first level, so for the single attribution, I already made the article. For the second stage, so for I already made the article step-by-step guide. And at the end of August, I'll launch the third level, from opportunity to customer, and then for demand. Go to HubSpot community if you want to check that, give kudos if you like the articles, but follow me if you want to get the third article and give me feedback. I really want to see if someone is already using this structure to understand if it's working for my structure, but we need to make some changes on other type of business, other type of companies. I'm more than open to help everyone doing this, so be free to ask for that. And now it's the end. Obrigado, it's thanks in Portuguese once again. Hope you enjoy it, and sorry for being a little late.
That was incredible. There was a massive amount of information that you shared, and I mean, I took away a lot from that. It's really, really good to see real world examples of companies who are using attribution reporting. I think we could have gone off and done a demo of HubSpot's attribution reporting tool. And, you know, there is a place for that, and we'll probably come back to that at some point. But I think the power of this is the practicality of seeing it in, you know, in real use. I love I love a number of things about it. That sales forecast at the end was brilliant. If, you know, the number of sales directors that I could talk to who would kill to be able to say, you know, 10% accuracy of their sales forecast every month, you know, because many people don't know. They just don't know the level of risk and accuracy, and it can vary a lot. And putting some hard data on that is really, really interesting. I like the way that you're doing semi-manual clarification halfway through that, so you're qualifying those leads by using free-form text and then using workflows to clean that up afterwards. That's really powerful scales. One quick question. I'll fire you one question and then we can finish it off because we are running slightly late. You were measuring leads, MQLs, and you were also measuring opportunities and looking at different channels, and that was fascinating. Do you take it further and go right the way through to revenue? So you might, on the third column there, you might have, this particular channel might be generating fewer deals, but those deals might be of a larger size in terms of revenue and benefit to the company. Do you go that far?
Exactly. So right now we are just adding the revenue on the opportunity stage. So after people seeing demo, so they are already talking with sales, but it's something that we are already doing, that is to add revenue to the SQL stage, because it's quite really important to understand what we have in our pipeline. So in this, mostly on these times of crisis on whole Europe, you need to understand that you have, okay, I have 50K SQLs in dormant stage. How much is their value? What should I do? Why I'm not getting there? Because it's quite easy to say acquire. But now that we are in these times that it's way more expensive to acquire new things, we need to work with the other teams and understand that. So yes, I took that information. In some markets, our go-to-market strategy says that we could go for channels with that low amount on revenue. In others, we are sure, because they are way more expensive, and we really need to comply with the investors' criteria on those channels, that we can't handle this type of clients. Because after that, and in our case, it's quite important to understand the value of the customer. As soon as they buy our product, they have 1 month of implementation with a team, a customer implementation team, and then they have always customer success team in our package. So if we have like a 60 euros, 100 euros client, we are taking hours from our customer success team that is way more value than that. And the worst part is that usually small clients have more doubts, have more needs.
Absolutely.
So it's really important to fire some type of clients. It was something that at the beginning, so one of the things that I made at InfraSpeak when I came, because we just had 100 euros budget for paid ads. So I was doing paid ads, and at the same time, I was SDR for InfraSpeak. And since I was the only one, I was doing demos to everyone that was asking. And I was losing tons of time with guys that were students, people that don't even add laptops, so they were seeing a complex demo in their phones. And of course, it's way nice to have those numbers, but when you start looking for all the things that you were not doing because you were losing time, 40 minutes demo with someone like that, we'll start to try to put criteria to understand why they shouldn't pass to the system.
And that's another thing I picked up from the presentation. You were using hidden properties on forms to classify the reason for people to convert, so you can then put those in different buckets.
So and that way I'm able to merge information from channel and the reason. That is quite important. Okay, so Facebook ads is bringing me tons of people asking for demos, but they are not getting me tons of people asking to be in our community. Okay, things like that. And then we could have like a really nice placement stack for different reasons.
I think what the other thing I would take away, a level of caution, I suppose, is it works if you've got the volume of data. So, you've got, I should imagine, quite a lot of traffic to the site driven by paid, organic, all these different channels. Not everybody has that volume. And so you've got to be a little careful making presumptions if you don't have statistically significant numbers. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So just a level of caution. Don't jump to conclusions because you've got, large numbers here or large numbers there. If you don't actually,
that is what it's about. That don't get things off without being totally sure, but at least be aware. And time to time, so it was not a decision from one day to the other, like we are starting cutting everyone, giving this criteria. We're putting levels of criteria that time to time were getting more restrict. But of course, at the beginning, it was impossible. Is that why 5 years ago, I was just looking for the acquisition channel. Today,
Yes.
I'm looking for the whole.
Absolutely. It's a journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to wind it up. I really appreciate your time and sharing your expertise. I'm sure the community are going to love this. We're going to put this out into the HubSpot community. Give us a couple of days to turn around the recording and edit and everything else. And anybody who's signed up will get an email with a link. Fantastic. Jose, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Claude. Always open to talk with you.
Thanks.
Nice.
No problem.